Hey folks, thanks for joining me here on G4G on YouTube. Today we're taking a look at a beta that's around temporarily, and that is the beta for Bleeding Edge. It happens to be available on PCs and actually Xbox One. The version you see me playing on over here is the PC version, and it is tied to your Microsoft account. So you can get it off of the Xbox app or Game Pass, and if you happen to have an Xbox One, you will have crossplay enabled, at least in the sense of character progression. The amount of progress that I've had here in the beta has predominantly been done on the Xbox One. That's where I first encountered it, where the Xbox messaging app was like, hey, the closed beta's out, and I downloaded it and tried it, and then went to record footage for this by doing the streaming app onto my PC. It was like, hey, you're having a network connection. But I discovered that the Xbox main app, not the console companion, had it available, so this is actually the PC version. So real quick, wanted to show you the setting screens here and everything. It does have a decent amount of video controls, audio, standard control settings, a input mapping, a little bit of stuff for UI, social, patch notes, and credit. Speaking of social, when I played several games on the Xbox One, despite having a Kinect, but not using a headset or anything, I heard no voice, so I can't speak to the toxicity of the community, but I accidentally clicked fight a little bit before this video and dropped into a match that was in progress, and it was pretty close to the end of the map. I was maybe in there for 2-3 minutes tops, and right as the map was about ready to close and I was on the losing team, there was a guy who was like, hey, you fucking idiots, you gotta be near me, I only got 10 health, you motherfuckers, stupid. I was like, oh, that's good. That's like being back home in New York again. So I don't really know if this is going to have a toxic community yet or not. I'm sure as I play the PC version, where more people are prone to having mics and everything like that, we'll certainly find out soon enough. So as you can see here from this main menu screen, it sort of has a little bit of the cel shading look like the Borderlands series, but a more of a kind of grittier, dystopian future, kind of punky look to it. It's cel shading, but it's a little bit more muted. It's not nearly as vibrant as Borderlands, and the guy that you see on the rooftop over there is kind of the main mascot of the game, and that's Damon. So let's jump into the workshop so you can see the characters. It's quite a interesting cast so far in the beta. After I had downloaded it and the girlfriend came downstairs and saw me playing it on the Xbox, I was like, oh, exactly, what is this? This is kind of interesting looking. There was one character that I'll save for the last over here that kind of horrified both of us, and we both had some choice opinions on the design. However, it's extremely unique. So going down to the tanks, we have El Bastardo, who I think is probably this game's most unique character. If you highlight a character and hit X, you'll see their abilities. Basically, everybody has a 4-button combo. That's universal. You have right button as a move, Y as a move, B as a move, and the ultimate is left button. They're kind of encouraging you to play with the controller, even on the PC version. It'll be interesting because if you get too used to the muscle memory of it, I don't know how easy this would be to change over to mouse and keyboard, because kind of like how I felt with the Borderlands series, having always done it on the Xbox 360, even when I play it on PC. I'm using a controller. Might be a little scrubby, but it's just how the muscle memory is. So El Bastardo has his 4-hit combo. He has a standard evade in the game, a standard parry. So the parry kind of works like what you would think of a parry in, say, Sekiro or Bloodborne or the Dark Souls series, where if you hit the evade button just as an attack lands but are not moving the directional pad, you will parry and knock the other person back in a mini half stun. So it promotes a level of mastery of the game that you might not see in others. He's got a passive, then anytime he does damage, he gets a shield. He has Leap of Faith, Death Spiral, which is a lot like Sonya in Heroes of the Storm, Empower, where he steals life from nearby enemies, granting energy to life support shields. And everybody has 2 supers. He's got a Overload super where he deals constant damage to nearby enemies, kind of like a Burning Rage, and Unbreakable where he can't be killed for 5 seconds, similar to Zul'jin in Heroes of the Storm. Now you're going to hear me make references to games that exist out there because it's probably the best way to draw you into a character and kind of let you know what you're dealing with until you actually play it and get a feel. So if you're like, oh, you're comparing a lot of stuff to Overwatch or Battleborn or Heroes, yeah, it's going to happen. There was a saying in music that there are no original licks left to create. Everything's been created already. And maybe that's almost true with character design, but these guys actually do a pretty good job of some standout characters. Bastardo is one of the most unique. The horrifying one I mentioned is very unique. And then you've got some others in here that you've seen before. So the next tank is Buttercup, sort of like Ellie from Borderlands, at least in girthiness. She plays a little bit like Stitches or Roadhog in Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch. You know, she's a big character that is hook based. So she's got a 3-button combo. If you hold her attack button down, she stays in one place, spins her wheels until you let go and kind of does a dash. Her evade, she doesn't have an evade. She has Burl, which is moving faster and regenerating health, but she costs stamina, so that's how she uses stamina in this one rather than an evade, because she literally is attached. Let's see if we can see that over here. Yeah, there's no way of me spinning her here. But essentially her legs are the shock absorbers of that rear wheel. And when she's in mount mode, she leans forward and puts the saw blades on the ground as a wheel. By the way, when I say mount mode, similar to Heroes of the Storm, when you are out of combat, you can hit a button on the D-pad and mount up, so you can get from one location to the other faster. She does still have a parry. Her right button is yank. Her Y is an oil slick that puts a slowing area around her, and it's a pretty decent slow. And B is whiplash, which is basically she puts her blades on strings and swings them in every direction, kind of like a spinning top. One of her supers is turbocharge, where she gains damage, lifesteal, and max life. And then she has burnout, which is a 360 she does around her that damages enemies and knocks them back. That's the one that I usually pick. You'll see that I'm level 2 with her because I've played her a couple times when I've played tank. And as we go through these characters, you will notice almost everybody except for 3 characters are a 1 in difficulty. That probably, hopefully, should change when the game goes into a full release, because a bunch of 1s and 2s might belie this game's strength and might make everybody think, oh, it's like so easy. It's probably not going to be that way. The game does require a decent amount of skill to master these characters, and seeing a bunch of 1s and 2s in difficulty on a 4 or 5 scale, hopefully things will increase over time. So finally, the last tank is Makutu. He is sort of a Islander Maui character, a little bit like Roadhog is based. However, he is built more and looks a little bit more like Shitfist in Overwatch, Doomfist. And looking at his abilities, 3-button combo, toggle stances. He can either regenerate speed, or he can either increase his movement speed or regenerate health, and he still has a parry. So he doesn't have a dodge. Similar to Buttercup, he doesn't dodge the way a lot of other characters do. That might be one shortcoming on the game. The fact that you go through the training and it teaches you how to attack, it teaches you how to parry, and all this stuff. Like, okay, do this 3 times, do that 3 times. You're programmed to think of right triggers. Oh, I gotta get out of here, or oh, I gotta dodge that. And then when you have a character who doesn't do that, it plays with your muscle memory in your brain. There becomes that short circuit between your brain and the default thing that you want to do down at your hands. Like, sometimes if I play Heroes of the Storm and go over to World of Warcraft, Heroes of the Storm, there's a cooldown on your mount. No matter what you do to become dismounted, you have a cooldown before you become mounted again. If I immediately go over and play World of Warcraft, it's in my brain, oh, I can't get back on my mount. I have a cooldown. And the only restriction in World of Warcraft is don't be in combat. So, at work, I work on... We've got 2 laptops in my environment. We have a standard one, and then we have a Dell XPS 13, which has a touchscreen. If I spend some time in front of a Dell and I'm touchscreening and I go to another one, I try and smack the screen once or twice, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. It's that problem with this game. At least the fact that there's 2 characters who don't use a dodge, that like the game programs you to think that way. It's weird. Anyway, Makutu has a barge on his right button where he charges into enemies and he can carry them. He has Legate, which is his Y ability. If he's in Pepeke stance, he cleanses movement impairing effects and provides a speed boost to himself and nearby allies. If he's in Aura stance, he heals himself and surrounding allies. His B is Repellent, create a burst of energy that pushes enemies away. He has a super of Katamori, roll into a ball and barrel through enemies, or can't touch this, making people invulnerable. That's a tough choice between supers. I don't know what I would consider the best one out of those 2. Up next, we have the support class, and we have Miko. Now, Miko probably doesn't really have a parallel in other games that I can describe. However, there was a Miko in Battleborn that was basically a mushroom that healed and threw knives at people. She has a 4-button combo. She has the standard evades. If she does her passive, it's Regenerator, Staff Impacts, Heal Miko, or a nearby ally with the lowest health. So she's a little bit like Brigitte, tiny bit like Brigitte in Overwatch. Now, if you look at her special on the screen, the right button, you'll see that there's a double line underneath it. That means if you double tap the ability, you cast it on yourself. That's pretty cool. Having a quick way of self-casting rather than using a modifier like Alt or Shift is handy. So she has a chain heal for the right button. She's got a dome that blocks enemy projectiles and beams, and she also has stasis, where she freezes enemy for a short period of time. You could say she's a little bit like Rhaegar in Heroes of the Storm because of the Shaman chain heal. Also, Paladins has a chain heal, Shaman-esque character. But then you have the Dome, which is a little unique, and then you have Stasis, which is really handy. She's a good healer to have around for dive because that Stasis really screws people up. If you start getting to the point where you play high level Bleeding Edge where Buttercup yanks and then she stasises and then the DPS blows somebody up, you can almost sort of see the MOBA level concepts breaking into this game. Her super is Life Force, powerful heal on an ally can be targeted with LB while active, and Stalker grants stealth to all allies and reveal all enemies for 10 seconds. Allies are lightly healed when they're stealth, so a little bit Tyrande over there from Heroes of the Storm. Kulev, which is a snake, a robotic snake inhabiting a zombie, and essentially using the zombie to pilot him around, is a very unique concept. Has a little bit of a tie-in to Maldambra over in Paladins, even though he physically looks like the snake character from Battleborn, whose name I forget, but I like that character. I used him a lot. He spits acid at his foes, similar to Maldambra in Paladins, and holding the button down, fires it. He doesn't have a combo, and you'll notice that some of the healers do not have combos on their basic ability because they're not supposed to be basicing. They're supposed to be healing, but they still have something that they can do. Standard evade and parry. Lucky Charm is a passive where he continuously heals himself and people around him. Brightwing-esque in Heroes of the Storm. Sacred Ground. Summon a ward that damages enemies and heals allies in the surrounding area. There's a circle below it because it means when you're holding the button down, you have the ability to target and place it where you go rather than set it, forget it. Good Omen, shield an ally or on himself. Curse, the target takes increased damage from all sources. He has an ultimate of Bamboozle, mind controlling an enemy, or Boon, where you empower an ally with a bunch of stats like damage and speed. And finally, we have Zero Cool for the support, who basically is a slightly whiter Lucio. I mean, he's somewhat music oriented. He's very tech and gamer oriented. He's like a blend of Lucio and Diva. You can see he has a bit of a hover cycle here. He's really on a phone or like tablet of some sort. He has the headphones and everything. He's the healer that I play when I play the game, and he acts somewhat robotic. You almost get the feeling he's a synth in the game, but he's not, because his emotes are like, I am the recharger. He does things in a very monotone robot voice, and it's hard to tell if it's because he is like a synth or if he's mimicking being robotic because he's so tech oriented. Arcade gun, just hold the button down and it shoots. He has evade, parry. He has a boost to his jump. So A is the jump, and you'll see Nitro over there where essentially he gets a big jump in the air as if he were hitting a jump pad while there's no jump pad. Defrag, life rapidly regenerates while not in combat. His R is Firewall, where he drops a kind of a May wall on the field that does not block attacks or projectiles, but is a physical blocker, and it's for both enemies and allies. Recharge is his healing beam. It recharges while inactive. Bot is a little, it's sort of like Lily. When she puts the dragon on somebody in Heroes of the Storm, you attach a bot to a friendly character that sits over their shoulder and like auto fires at people. It has 1 or 2 charges, and he can cast it on himself. Upgrade protection, temporarily increase the armor of all nearby allies. That's what I've always picked. And then 1-up for the next 8 seconds. An ally will return to life if killed. It's so situational, I haven't tried it. Damon is, like I said, the game's mascot. He is a kind of a Junkrat in Punk, Genji, and Execution character that's not grenades on his shoulder like Junkrat. It's spray paint cans. He plays quite a bit like Genji. He has a 4-button combo, standard evade, and parry. He can double jump near a wall, but it costs stamina. He has a dash forward on the RB. If you press X while shifting, you exit out of the end of it with a spin attack. He can stealth for a little bit. While he's stealth, you can sleep an enemy. The game doesn't really represent that one well. It doesn't tell you that much about it. And then he has the ability to throw a couple shurikens, so you can really see the similarities between him and Genji. He has the ultimate of Shadow Strike, which is very much like Genji, and then Death Mark, where extra damage is done against the marked target. If he's killed within 5 seconds, you can cast it again for free. Very MOBA-esque style of cooldown there. Gizmo is next in damage. She's probably one of the least unique characters in here. She's the standard engineer class. She's the standard turrety person. She's the mechanic from Final Fantasy 15. She is sort of the engineer from TF2. She's Gage from Borderlands 2. It's, you know, the typical engineer turret character. For a DPS, she has a Tychus style chain gun from Heroes of the Storm, where basically you hold the button down and it eventually spins a little bit faster. She's obnoxious. If you don't have speed to get out of range of her gun, and let's say you're walking away from her at 5 units and she's walking towards you at 5 units, and you're just like, oh my god, I gotta get out of here, you have to do something or she will rip you up from the back. She's dangerous. She has a bomb called Sucka on the RB. She sucks people in when she throws it. She's got a turret on the Y, and she can drop a jump pad on the B. She can call in a mech suit with extra armor and a flamethrower that burns enemies for a percentage of their max life, so she's anti-tank, a little bit diva-esque. Or she has Rocket, where she rides a giant missile. The longer the ride, the bigger the bang. It's similar to one of Junkrat's ults in Heroes of the Storm. Pressing X explodes it. This is the character everybody gets wrong on YouTube that talks about this game. Nobody knows how to pronounce this guy's name, and it baffles my mind. Maybe people are scared of saying it on a video and saying the wrong thing. It's Nidhogger. Just like Nidhogg. I mean, this name is in so many games, even at the level of World of Warcraft, and everybody's like, this guy is no, I don't want to say his name. I'm like, okay. Yeah, that's strange. This is another guy that can kind of eat you up if you are not a tank and he's just left to wail on you. 4-button combo. He can hold the button down for Shredder, which charges up energy that goes between enemies. Standard evade and parry. Feedback is a passive. Basic axe attacks against burning enemies grant lifesteal. He can power slide, similar to Elite Tauren Chieftain or ETC in Heroes of the Storm. He breathes fire in a cone, dealing heavy damage and putting the enemies on fire. Boomatar, throw your guitar to slow enemies. If it hits them on the return, they're stunned instead. An ultimate of Ride the Lightning, which is a Metallica song. Stun all nearby enemies with an epic guitar solo. Death Growl, silence all nearby enemies with a deafening roar. I mean, I don't know why you would do Death Growl when Ride the Lightning's available. A stun is a silence, just better, because then they're not moving, unless there's a timing difference, like they're stunned for 5 but silenced for 8. I don't really know why you would pick Death Growl in that, unless there's a difference between the two. I mean, unless the size is different or the time is different, it just doesn't make sense. Up next is Maeve, another character some people had issues pronouncing. There is a Maeve in Paladins, but is nothing like her. She's an old granny character with a balloon attached to her. That's what those wires are going up. She has a hold the button down style attack. Standard evade and parry. Schadenfreude, landing a killing blow instantly resets all special cooldowns. The medic in TF2 had an ability with the same name. Cage on her RB, which is where she puts enemies in a cage for a few seconds, just locks them in there. Vanish, she can disappear and become invulnerable for a short period of time. And Siphon Life, channeling an energy beam that steals life. She does remind me a little bit of a character in Gigantic. She's a blend of two of Gigantic's characters, and I kind of missed that game. Project Stamina, by the way, is what you want to follow if you're a fan of Gigantic. A super of toil and trouble, summon a ball of energy that explodes on contact, or peekaboo, enter your cauldron, teleport to an enemy visible on the minimap, stunning them on arrival. That's pretty unique. And finally, the most horrifying character of Bleeding Edge, Cock Bok Bagok Cass. An agile assassin with a very low health pool who excels at chasing down final kills. She is some crazy chicken ostrich roadrunner hybrid. The two of us were horrified looking at this character because it's just, the eyes go big like a bird, that the head peck looking movement, weird character, the humongous thighs over there, girlfriend kind of thick. But feathered darts, throw a volley of darts, standard evade and parry, charge jump, charge up, and then perform a huge jump. Momentum passive, cast gain speed while running continuously. I haven't run into too many casts. Maybe people are afraid to play a higher level DPS as of right now. She has an RB of swoop, dash in a line, rake, a powerful 5-hit melee combo that has no cooldown, hightail, leap backwards away from your target, an ultimate of dive bomb, jump out of sight, and then plummet out of the sky, and then you stun, and blade dance, spin around, throwing daggers out in all directions. There are 2 game modes in the game right now. There is a destroy energy cells around the map when they spawn. You collect them, and then you have to hold on to them for a while until the collection points go active, and then you drop them off by standing in there and not moving. Interesting mode, because if you're killed, you drop your energy, and then the enemy team can pick it up, so you could go on straight gather runs and then hide until drop zones are available, or you can go out and hunt and try to increase your rewards. You can have a split where have a lot of people collect, or a few people collect the energy cells, hold on to them, and then maybe your assassins go out and gank. And then you also have a domination, which allows you to flip a point when it becomes active, not continuously active like UT99 domination. And then you also get points for getting kills. I'm going to hit fight real quick, see if we can get into a quick little fight, and depending on what's getting picked, I can either show off a tank or a healer. So what I'm going to do right now to keep the video not too long, I'm going to go ahead and pause it and resume it and actually get in a match. So I have gotten into a match. Took a bit to do it. For some reason, when I queued up before, nothing was happening for matches, so I went into WoW, did some dailies, and now queuing up was about as instant as it was when I was playing on the Xbox. So I've gone ahead and picked
Okay, coach.
Lucio over here. That's his standard attack.
The pleasure's all yours.
That's his beam. And then the right trigger is the firewall, which I'm not going to do here. Lowering the volume a little bit here, which actually seems to be kind of messing up my game a little bit. The music in this game is Skrillex-esque. It really reminds me of Bangarang when I hear it. There's a lot of parts of the menu music and some of the game music that'll remind you a lot of height of the popularity dubstep, which isn't nearly as overplayed now as it would have been had you had dubstep in a game 4 or 5 years ago. It's actually, I wouldn't say refreshing, but it's not completely tired. So there's the firewall. So we know that the enemy team has got a guy just like me, because that was the firewall. It looks like we're running 2 support. We've got a tank. Our DPS is a Nidhogger. So this is my problem with the game right now. I had the exact same issue when I was on the Xbox. People are not protecting healers against dive. And now I hope our DPS is just sitting here at the gate AFK. Now there he goes. So again, what I was saying earlier, my muscle reflex to dodge to get out of there didn't work. I dropped the wall, which somewhat helped. So that was my escape out of there, was to just basically double jump and get range on her. See, if I'm left to sit here and heal my team kind of unfettered, I can do a decent job. I've had matches where I've had really, really good heals. The problem is, see, here we go. I just fucking combo to death. There's nothing I can do, and nobody wants to peel. I don't know if that's because this is people who don't understand what to do in a game like this. They're like not MOBA players or not arena players or something, but Buttercup over there, her job is to basically peel if somebody is in trouble. And nobody's paying attention to that kind of stuff. Now our own Nidhogger's going for... Oh no, actually, I'm sorry, that's a Daemon. So we don't have the double support now, we have double DPS and a tank. As you can see here, when I attack, I just basically automatically get a lock on. And here we go again, just... fortunately got through that one. I'm gonna risk the mount up, and I gotta get out of here. There, I threw the bot on him.
I'm your life now.
Surprised those guys aren't engaging. But it looks like at least we shared the health. A lot of what you're going to see in these matches, at least from what I've seen, are teams where they know they have the advantage in skill are just brutal, and they will just gang up. See, and here, I'm just going to probably get pelted and maybe even die on the way. I don't even know if I can get back. Okay, I can. It's one of the first times I've ever escaped from her. Now, see, dumbass over there should have picked up the buff attack. But okay. She does have 6 cubes though, but I mean 35 to 6, that's... And there's my ultimate, which is... Yeah, there's me getting the hell out of there. have anybody to heal. It's... Oh, we didn't even cap all 6 of them. She died before they... That's great. So now it looks like our tank is gone to Bastardo. But is just sitting there AFK. That's great. This is how my experience has been so far. Is a lot of trash teams like this. I mean, it sounds like sour grapes, but it's not. As you can see, I mean, it's happening before you. Somebody left. There's been AFKs. And if you can hear his voice, you can hear it a little bit where he sort of does a little bit of a robot phrasing. However, we did get a kill here. And we got some cells out of it. As you can see, that's my escape, is to just basically float above everybody. Christ. The good thing is, well, see, not out of combat, because the fucking chain gun chick is following me, and there's not a lot I can do with it. I just have no escape, other than going straight up in the air.
The treasure's all yours.
Just see, that's what I said before. Just ruthless. And she's... now the healer's following me. That's fucking hysterical. This is what happens when the enemy team knows they have an advantage over you. The enemy healer peeled to chase me down. On some of the winning matches I've had, which, believe it or not, have all been from Lucio Part 2 over here. I've done it myself, but not the ones where I've won, and I'll show you my record over here. They're bad. They're about as bad as the losses, but my team hasn't been nearly as douchey as some of that shit was. Can't tell if that's me with the beam over there. So you get some stuff after the game that you can watch. And you can see it's been a solid 60 frames a second. So if I go over to profile, you'll see that I've been doing a lot of Zero Cool, a little bit of Buttercup, history. So that was the first one on the PC. These were... Actually, no, there was that one. That was the one that was just like a brief minute or two. But these were all the Xbox ones. If we look at this victory, 50-10. This one's 600-86. This was a control, I believe. A 50-10 defeat and a 50-17. Like, none of these have been competitive. Whether it's been a win for me or a loss for me, no competition whatsoever. And there's been a lot of people dropping. I'm not going to say there's been a lot of AFKs, but there's been a lot of unbalanced teams where it's 4-3 fairly frequently. And skill, like, I don't get it. Maybe it's because there's no record of performance yet on the servers. Hopefully there's going to be a competitive side to this and a quick play side to it. And hopefully there's some skill matching going on, because as you could see from those, whether I won or lost, they've not been close at all. But here's my Zero Cool stats. He's now a 50% win rate. He was a little bit better before that loss. And if you compare damage on him, so he's got almost 8,000 damage, 218 damage per minute. But if I pull up the tank that I've played, 12,000 damage and 651 damage per minute. And there's, I mean, with his auto lock on, I have definitely sat behind people for like 5 minutes as they're fleeing, just plinking away with a gun. So at least his damage is not extreme for a healer. She's not too bad as a tank, but I haven't run any DPS yet to get an example. So when you win, you'll find that you get stuff. So workshop will light up, and then a character will light up. And then if you go to mods, you can set your loadout. So right now, as you can see, the bot damage is up, the recharge healing is up, and the recharge target range is up. So that's mostly a dedicated healer with a little bit on the bot. But then I can equip this one, which reduces defrag, self-healing activation time, or stamina recharge. I'm going to put this in place of the bot because that's how I live, is getting out of combat and allowing, and you can see what happened there. If I had a little bit of regen going, the one time that the engineer character was chasing me, I might have been a little bit better off, but I mean, who cares about the bot damage when you're getting destroyed and you have no real evasion other than the boost? That's one of the good things about... Hi, there's a cat at my feet. That's one of the good things about the arena, is that it's a lot of accessible verticality to it. So characters with aerial abilities have the ability to get out. And most of those platforms, you can find a ramp up to them, but if you need to use them in an emergency, you can do some kind of a, you know, a vertical ability if you have it and use it. She didn't, so that's why I was able to hop up a level a few times and evade. And if you go to bio, so boards is just basically your mount if you're on a character that uses a board, unlike, say, my character. And this is one that I had won from my Xbox matches. This is one of the first unlocks that I had. It looks like this is where your cosmetic credits will be used. You got kind of a standard surfboard there, another standard one, this knife or dagger, this kind of pod racer looking one. Oh, and there's other stuff too, so I haven't actually looked at this yet, like trails. Oh, I didn't know I had unlocked the trail. That's cool. So if you go to bio, it tells you some things about the characters. Most of the backstories are actually kind of sad, like Wu-Tang over here was doing fine until he loses his mother. And a lot of the backstories are just kind of depressing. There's not too many that are positive. One of the ones that is positive, I believe, is Gizmo over here. She's got a relatively positive bio over here, that her dad realizes that she was really intelligent and is, oh, you know, I gotta let you go. You gotta go to the big city and do more than what you were doing of just making mechs. You know, you need to go to the big bleeding edge arena. So you should read them, but most of them are actually kind of sad, really. Maeve over here is just kind of whatever. I haven't actually read hers yet, but Christ, if she was born in 1975, yikes. She's been around the block a little bit. So yeah, give it a shot. My guess is there is a pre-order that'll give you some skins when it comes out. A punk set of skins for all of them. My guess is that this screams like it's going to be a free-to-play. I will probably start playing it when it comes out. It is fun if things get balanced, and the fact that I could maybe be downstairs and playing it on the Xbox One and then come up here and do it is cool, because it brings back memories of when Gigantic was in beta for me, and I could do that a little bit. So it'll be nice to have that ability to bounce back and forth. And again, I don't know if you're in a shared space in the servers where maybe you're on a PC and you're fighting an Xbox One person. However, at least the progression carries over. So, you know, wherever you want to do it, do it. And with the fact that you have the Xbox streaming, you can potentially play this on mobile. Just get one of those clips, clip it to an Xbox One controller, and play it on your phone or Bluetooth it into a reasonable tablet, and you have mobile Bleeding Edge. And again, that's one of the good areas of where if you're getting used to the controller, you can do that bouncing around. The same thing on the Xbox will be the same thing on the PC. It would be the same thing if you play it mobile. And if you see that, here's the Bleeding Edge beta and everything. It's on Mixer and it's going to be on Twitch. There you go, guys. Hope you liked the video. Have a good one.